Hello everyone, my name is Begum. I'm a PhD candidate in the Architectural Design Computing program at Istanbul Technical University. Here is our research, Postphenomenological Approach towards Future of Cities in the Metaverse, with the case study for Heterotopias in Istanbul.
Some places, especially those with significant historical value, have unique qualities that leave a mark on visitors. These unique characteristics of the sites may be lost in the process of creating digital representations of them, leading to similar digital environments. In this study, we aim to investigate how to represent heterotopias in the metaverse, including building an open source platform for the data collection on heterotopias in the metaverse, then analyzing and evaluating the data using a post-phenomenological methodology. Our goal is to start a novel discussion on how we will represent cities in the metaverse while preserving their distinct lived experiences like heterotopias. That's why we are asking through this study, how are we going to represent the heterotopias of future cities in the metaverse? I will present our research in 4 parts, starting with the short introductions of the metaverse and heterotopia, then continue with our approach, and end with where we are today with our study. In the first part, I will talk about the term metaverse. The term itself has been around since 1992, when Neil Stephenson published the sci-fi novel Snow Crash. Most people, however, associate the term with the 2018 film adaptation of the Ready Player One book. The pictures you see are reminders of the world or metaverse called Oasis in the film. In Oasis, while you can interact in a virtual environment, your virtual avatar can also communicate with people in the real world. If you look into some definitions of metaverse in Snow Crash novel, 3D computer-generated universe in which users can interact with one another and the surroundings. There have been a few novels and studies that mention the metaverse over the years, but the phrase became more popular when Facebook changed its name to Meta. Their website provides the following definition of the metaverse: set of digital spaces you can move seamlessly between. Like the internet, the metaverse will help you connect with people when you aren't physically in the same place. This description emphasizes the social side of the metaverse, which is typical for business purposes. So in the context of our research as architectural designers, we propose our own concept of the metaverse too. In our concept, metaverse is a part of the digital world that includes all immersive virtual spaces with their own rules, as well as the rules we already have in the physical world. And while it's a part of our physical world, it also has its own virtual spaces that we can only access through technology. We can access the metaverse at any time by using bridges, which are our technological instruments. We can look at some top metaverse platform examples, Roblox and Decentraland, to better understand the metaverse. We chose these examples to show you 2 different but popular metaverse platforms. The first one on the left is Roblox, which launched in 2006. Roblox is a game production platform where users may create their own games as well as play games created by others. It is one of the older ones that have undergone many changes over time. Initially, it was only a PC-based social game network. Then they introduced iOS and Android applications, allowing users to convert their Robux, basically Roblox money, into real-world money. They also published a VR version with the Oculus Rift VR headset later in 2016. It is now available on any device, and examples of experiences include games, social activities, shopping, movies, and esports. Its graphics are still simple today, demonstrating that high-quality images are not required for a metaverse. The other one on the right is Decentraland, which was recently founded in 2020. It is an Ethereum-based virtual 3D platform where you can purchase and sell virtual land. Designers can create and sell clothes and accessories for the avatars to be used in the virtual world. It is also available on any device. As you can also understand from the images, the graphics in Decentraland are higher quality than those in Roblox. It is more popular for social events, conferences, and formal meetings. Looking at how real cities are doing in the metaverse, we can see that following the struggles of the global epidemic, some cities have begun to enter the metaverse. There are currently few examples available. We chose 2 examples that have already been implemented. Seoul in South Korea is one of them. The city's official plan calls for the construction of a metaverse ecosystem to house all of the city's administrative functions, including those dealing with the economy, culture, tourism, education, and citizen complaints. The platform will be built in 3 phases, beginning in 2022 with the introduction phase, followed by the expansion phase, and finally the settlement phase will be completed in 2026. The virtual mayor's office, an online general civil service office, and Seoul's major tourist destinations, including Gwanghwamun Square and the destroyed historical site of Donimun, as well as representative festivities such as the Seoul Lantern Festival, will be available in the metaverse. Santa Monica in California is another city that has already entered the metaverse. They reached an agreement with FlickPlay, a metaverse app, to build an immersive experience with play-to-earn gamification for downtown Santa Monica visitors. AR and VR experiences allow users to win a variety of digital collectibles and prizes that can be redeemed for real products at businesses and sites throughout the neighborhood. In the next part, I will talk about heterotopias. Heterotopia may have one definition, but it has many characters. Since Michel Foucault introduced the word heterotopia into architectural and urban theory in the late 1960s, it has been a source of inspiration as well as confusion. In his original discourse concerning heterotopia, Foucault discusses first the term utopia. Utopias are places that do not have a physical location. They are inherently unreal settings that show civilization in its perfected form. On the contrary, heterotopias are places that may have physical location, but they exist outside of all places, differ from all the sites they reflect and speak about. These areas serve as a reflection of society. Asylums, brothels, prisons, holiday resorts, hospices, gardens, cemeteries, care homes, theater, museums, cinema, libraries, and fairgrounds are examples of heterotopias. They are locations in real space that contain more than one time and place. Later, the talks of Foucault published with the 6 principles of heterotopia. In heterotopias, the rules of behavior are suspended. They are representing the culture in which they are embedded. They juxtapose in a single place several spaces simultaneously that are in themselves incompatible. They are linked to slices of time. They are not freely accessible, and they are spaces of illusion that exposes every real space. In Foucault's essay, the scope of the concept of heterotopia is broad, and after Foucault, Henri Lefebvre was the closest to Foucault's concept of heterotopia. However, heterotopias can take many different forms, and there may not be a single universal form of heterotopia. In the context of our study, we adapted the characters of heterotopia for Foucault and heterotopy for Lefebvre into heterotopia in Metaverse. It has characters from both concepts in an attempt to portray the potential of a distinct place in a virtual world. The image on the right shows a scene from the movie Ready Player One. It is the Halliday journals in Oasis. Halliday is one of the founders of Oasis in the movie. It's a 3D virtual archive of Halliday's life. To experience places at different times in history, you go through a virtual 3D archive in the metaverse. Here we can return to our initial question. How are we going to represent the heterotopias that have many contexts and time-space in the metaverse? Here on the left, you can see the Myrleon cistern and church in Istanbul. They're illustrations showing their original architecture from the 5th century. They served under the Byzantine and Ottoman empires, and they have remained still today. However, the buildings have changed through time in relation to diverse societies and cultures. The church was converted into a mosque, and the cistern was transformed into a bazaar. In recent photos on the right, you can see the Myrleon cistern as a bazaar with bags hanging from its historical columns. So if we imagine a future Istanbul in the metaverse, how will such places be represented as heterotopias? Should we implement the original version of the building from history, the one we have today, both, or a new interpretation? In order to find answers, we approach representing heterotopias in future cities of metaverse from postphenomenological perspective by focusing on multi-stabilities and cultural layers of heterotopias. Postphenomenology is the result of a shift from phenomenology, and the field's leading researchers are ID, Verbeek, and Rosenberger. According to Verbeek, phenomenology is the philosophical study of the structure of human life-world relations, whereas postphenomenology analyzes similar relationships in terms of human-technology relationships. Postphenomenology investigates the empirical and scientific ways in which technology impacts people's social and cultural experiences. ID introduces the term multi-stability to discuss how, in another cultural context, the same technology becomes quite a different technology. For example, from a post-phenomenological perspective, we can speak of collective cultural knowledge of how to read a text or a picture. So, we expect people sharing collective cultural knowledge have the similar perspective on heterotopias, which will help us to understand cultures and guide how to represent them in future cities of the metaverse. In order to understand a technology or a technological development, post-phenomenology analyzes the character of the human-technology relation and the ways in which technology organizes relations between human beings and the world. Istanbul, formerly Constantinople, dates back to the 7th century BC. Over time, it has welcomed a variety of ethnicities, and each group has introduced its own architectural traditions and values to the city. As a result, it is possible to come across diverse architecture throughout the city, which some people may refer to as heterotopias. During this research, we intend to investigate the future of Istanbul with its heterotopias in the metaverse as a case study. The current situation of the metaverse in Istanbul and Turkey is, in short, the government has shown interest in metaverse. However, as far as we know, it has yet to publish a plan for Istanbul in metaverse. Istanbul municipality launched a digital wallet and blockchain plan for future government services in 2021. This year, in 2022, Istanbul municipality organized an event for Istanbul Half Marathon in the Metaverse platform Decentraland. More than 11,000 virtual lands in Istanbul have been sold on a game-based Metaverse platform called Over. According to a survey by Statista about Metaverse awareness in Turkey, 230 out of 800 participants had an opinion about Metaverse. As I previously mentioned, we believe that collective cultural knowledge will assist us understand cultures of place and guide us how to represent heterotopias in future cities of the Metaverse. To see if our prediction was correct, we planned to start with a case study that included preliminary work and a workshop. At the time of this recording, our research is still ongoing, so our case study has not yet been completed. We chose Yedikule Dungeons in Istanbul for our case study because its purpose as a venue shifted over time from gate to treasury to prison. It is currently being restored and part of our other ongoing study supported by the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey. In the preliminary work, we asked two groups of architecture students whether Yedikule Dungeons is a heterotopia in Istanbul. The preliminary work requires a minimum of 10 architecture students from Istanbul and 10 architecture students from other cities. We will provide students with the heterotopia in Metaverse principles as a guide without mentioning what they are for, as well as information about Yedikule Dungeons. We will ask them to decide if Yedikule Dungeons has any of the provided principles. And the expected outcome is to have preliminary data on the thoughts of architecture students from different cultures about Yedikule Dungeons as heterotopia, so we can start analyzing and comparing the collective cultural knowledge. Following the preliminary work, we will organize a workshop to discuss how to represent Yedikule Dungeons of future Istanbul in Metaverse. This time, we focus on the collective cultural knowledge of novice and expert architects. They may have different perspectives on heterotopias and how heterotopias should be represented in the Metaverse in relation to their experiences. The workshop requires a minimum of 5 novice and 5 expert architects. We will make them a presentation on heterotopias, Metaverse, and Yedikule Dungeons. We will provide them with the book, The Dictionary of Imaginary Places by Alberto Manguel and Gianni Guadalupi, and ask them to write a description for Yedikule Dungeons of future Istanbul in a Metaverse in a similar format as in the book. Later, we will discuss the descriptions and how they can be adapted in the Metaverse. And the expected outcome is to have ideas on the representations of Yedikule Dungeons of future Istanbul in the Metaverse. Our work still needs to be completed, so by the time you watch this video at the Representing Past, Visioning Futures conference, we will be close to the completion. However, at the end of our study, we intend to use the Postphenomenological Approach to evaluate the link between people, places, and technology for future cities and digital worlds. Our open source platform website is already up and running and can be found at the link on the slide you are seeing. You are welcome to participate in our online surveys and events, and please contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.